Play Elevation Worship. Good morning, Pastor Brenda. Good morning. Top of the day. Shalom, shalom. Let's see if I can move this stuff back a little bit. I set a little centerpiece on my table, and to push my camera closer, I actually might be okay. Let's see. Put in my headphones. Artwork on the board. I need to clean that off today. Cheering. Okay. All right, let's get started. All right. Okay. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. And Father, we pray that the Father of our Yahushua HaMashiach, the Father of glory, may give unto us in our households the spirit of wisdom and revelation and the knowledge of him, that the eyes of our understanding would be enlightened, that we may know what is the hope of his calling, and what the riches of the glory of his inheritance is in the saints, and what is the exceeding greatness of his power to usward who believe, according to the working of his mighty power, which he wrought in Mashiach, when he raised him from the dead and set him at his own right hand in the heavenly places, far above all principality and power, might and dominion, and every name that is named, not only in this world, but also in that which is to come, and has put all things under his feet, and gave him to be the head over all things to the called out assembly, which is his body, the fullness of him that fills all in all. And Father, we ask that you would grant unto us, according to the riches of your glory, to be strengthened with might by your spirit in our inner man, that Mashiach may dwell in our hearts by faith, that we would be rooted and grounded in love, and may we be able to comprehend with all the saints what is the breadth and length and depth and height, and to know the love of Mashiach, which passes knowledge, that we might be filled with the fullness of Yahuwah. Now unto him that is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that works in us, unto him be the glory in the called out assembly by Mashiach Yahushua throughout all ages, world without end. Amen. Good morning, Amy. Good morning, Aunt Anita. Alexa, volume 2. All right, beautiful people. We are in the book of Yeshayahu, Isaiah. All right, let's see. Okay, and today is our first day in chapter 1, 2, and 3. Must you rebel forever? Chapter 1, a message for rebellious Judah. Chapter 2, Yahuwah's future reign. And chapter 3, the judgment against Judah. All right, so let's get started, y'all. Was that still the same? I think that's still just as loud. Shalom, shalom, Tiffany. Isaiah, chapter 1. We're about to start reading now. Alexa, volume 1. Okay. I thought it was still just as loud when I cut it down the first time. All right, so let's start. The Sefer of the prophet Yeshayahu, also called the book of the prophet Isaiah. Chapter 1. The vision of Yeshayahu, the son of Amoz, which he saw concerning Yehuda and Yerushalayim in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Achaz, Yechityahu, kings of Yehuda. Hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for Yahuwah has spoken. I have nourished and brought up children, and they have rebelled against me. The ox knows his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Yasharal does not know. My people do not consider. Ah, sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity, a seed of evildoers, children that are corrupters. They have forsaken at Yahuwah. They have provoked the Holy One of Yasharal unto anger. They are gone away backward. Why should ye be stricken any more? Ye will revolt more and more. The whole head is sick, and the heart faint. From the sole of the foot even unto the head there is no soundness in it, but wounds and bruises and putrefying sores. They have not been closed, neither bound up, neither mollified with ointment. Your country is desolate. Your cities are burned with fire. Your land, strangers devour it in your presence, and it is desolate as overthrown by strangers. The daughter of Zion is left as a cottage in a vineyard, as a lodge in a garden of cucumbers, as a besieged city. Except Yahuwah save our oath had left unto us a very small remnant, we should have been as Sodom, and we should have been like unto Amorah. Hear the word of Yahuwah, ye rulers of Sedom. Give ear unto Torah of our Yahuwah, ye people of Amorah. To what purpose is the multitude of your sacrifices unto me, says Yahuwah? I am full of the burnt offerings of rams and the fat of fed beasts. I delight not in the blood of bullocks or of lambs or of he-goats. When ye come to appear before me, who has required this at your hand to tread my courts? Bring no more an oblation of evil incense. It is an abomination unto me. No longer proclaim the new moon and the Sabbath and the feasts and the festivals. They are in vain. Your new moons and your feasts are odious to my soul and are the burden I weary of lifting. And when ye spread forth your hands, I will hide my eyes from you. Yea, when you make many prayers, I will not hear. Your hands are full of blood. Wash yourself. Make yourself clean. Put away the evil of your doings from before my eyes. Cease to do evil. Learn to do well. Seek judgment. Relieve the oppressed, judge the fatherless, plead for the widow. Come now, and let us reason together, says Yahuwah. Though your sins be as scarlet, they shall be as white as snow. Though they be red like crimson, they shall be as wool. If ye be willing and obedient, ye shall eat the good of the land. But if ye refuse and rebel, ye shall be devoured with the sword. For the mouth of Yahuwah has spoken. How is the faithful city become a harlot? It was full of judgment, righteousness lodged in it. But now murderers. Your silver has become dross, your wine mixed with water. Your princes are rebellious and companions of thieves. Everyone loves gifts and follows after rewards. They judge not the fatherless, neither does the cause of the widow come unto them. Therefore says Adonai, Yahuwah save our oath, the mighty one of Yasharal. I will ease me of my adversaries and avenge me of my enemies. And I will turn my hand upon you and purely purge away your dross and take away all your tin. And I will restore your judges as at the first, and your counselors as at the beginning. Afterward you shall be called the city of righteousness, the faithful city. Zion shall be redeemed with judgment, and her converts with righteousness. And the destruction of the transgressors and of the sinners shall be together, and they that forsake Yahuwah shall be consumed. For they shall be ashamed of the oaks which they have desired, and ye shall be confounded for the gardens that ye have chosen. For ye shall be as an oak whose leaf fades, and as a garden that has no water. As the strong shall be as tow, and the maker of it as a spark, and they shall both burn together, and none shall quench them. Chapter 2 of Isaiah. The word that Yeshayahu, remember Yeshayahu was Isaiah. The word that Yeshayahu, the son of Amos, saw concerning Yehuda and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days, remember, in the last days. And the last days can also be translated. I know you are here, the last days like end of the world last days, but that's not the case. The last days meaning the end days of the current reign of Esau or Edom of wickedness, because books have been stripped away and they kind of pick and choose what they wanted to put together. They canonized these 66 books. They kind of added in like they call it the Apocrypha or the hidden books. Not that they're any less valid than the ones that they chose to put in here, the ones that everybody kind of has access to. If you have some of the other books that were written, you can see the overall full story. And if you see the overall full story, you'll know when it talks about the last days. You hear people say, oh, we're in the last days, or we're in the end times, or we're in the end days. If we pay attention to Hollywood, we would think, oh, it's the end of the world. It's not. The world is not going to end anytime soon. No matter what we see in the movies, or even some of the church doctrine that you hear, they don't have all of the books together where you can see the whole story of what's going on. Time is still going to go on. What it says, The end days simply mean the end of the current age, or the end of the current rule that we live under, the current rule of tyranny. There's going to be a rule. It says Esau rules first, then Jacob, then Jacob, then Jacob. But they just conveniently removed all that, meaning that once this wicked rule of the nations ends, there's going to be a new ruling and righteousness. The righteous ones are going to stand up and literally are going to take over the kingdoms of all the world. Just not the United States and in North America, Canada. Righteous people they're going to get sick and tired as they are going to rise up, and the power of Yahuwah is going to be behind them, and they're going to begin to stand up. They're going to begin to take over these political seats and things like this all over the world, and they're going to literally begin to band together, and the votes of the people are going to be behind them, as well as the power of Yahuwah. It even talks about that in Daniel. Righteousness shall sit, and judgment shall begin. Meaning judgment, not like, oh, yeah, I'm judging you. Like we hear the word judgment today, people got it all chopped and screwed. That's not what it means. Judgment can mean righteous judgment or judgment for your bad. You get time in jail, or I'm ruling rightfully in your favor. So with that being said, so when you hear end days, last days is not the end of the world. It's the end of the current age of the rule of wickedness, because there's a righteous people that are going to rise up and take over the ruling of the world. And if you pay attention, you'll begin to see some of the stuff. Although what they blast in the media seem like, oh, ain't nobody got no hope, we need to vote for the lesser of the two evils, you may not be able to see it clearly yet, because they're raising up in the smaller places, in the local cities and school boards and stuff like that, and they're going to just continue to rise up the ladder, and before you know it, you're going to be like, where in the world? We're going to start seeing righteous rulings and judgments all across the world. People of one particular race are not going to get unfair judgment. It's going to be fair all across the board. Okay, so that's enough being said right there. All right, so chapter 2. I just started verse 1 again. The word that Yeshayahu, son of Amos, saw concerning Yehuda and Yerushalayim, and it shall come to pass in these last days that the mountain of Yahuwah's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above all the hills, and all the nations shall flow into it. And many people shall go and say, come ye, let us go up to the mountain of Yahuwah, and the house of the Allure of Yaakov. Yaakov is Jacob. And he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the Torah, and the word of Yahuwah from Yerushalayim. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people. And he shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. O house of Yaakov, come ye, and let us walk in the light of Yahuwah. Therefore you have forsaken your people, the house of Yaakov, because they have replenished from the east, and they are soothsayers like the Philistines, and they please themselves in the children of strangers. Their land is also full of silver and gold, neither is there any end of their treasures. Their land is also full of horses, neither is there any end of their chariots. Their land also is full of idols. They worship the work of their own hands that their own fingers have made. And the mean man bows down, and the great man humbles himself. Therefore forgive them not. Enter into the rock and hide you in the dust, for fear of Yahuwah and for the glory of his majesty. The lofty looks of man shall be humble, and the haughtiness of man shall be bowed down, and Yahuwah alone shall be exalted in that day. For the days of Yahuwah Sevaot shall be upon everyone that is proud and lofty, and upon everyone that is lifted up, and he shall be brought low, and upon all the cedars of Lebanon that are high and lifted up, and upon all the oaks of Bashan, and upon all the high mountains, and upon all the hills that are lifted up, and upon every high tower, and upon every fenced wall, and upon all the ships of Tarshish. Remember, the ships of Tarshish are the ships of Spain. Remember how they renamed a lot of stuff and kind of keep you going in circles. But Tarshish is Spain. upon all the pleasant pictures, verse 17, and all the loftiness man shall be bowed down, and the haughtiness of men shall be made low, and Yahuwah alone shall be exalted in that day. And the idols he shall utterly abolish, and they shall go into the holes of the rocks and into the caves of the earth, for fear of Yahuwah and for the glory of his majesty, and when he arises to shake the earth terribly. And when he arises to shake terribly the earth. Now, if y'all pay attention to some of the stuff they doing, how they building cities underground and all this stuff, they calling it something different. They trying to get up into space or whatever. But it talks about that, how they're going to try and hide, like right here, how they try to hide themselves in the holes in the rocks and into the caves of the earth. And time's up. They know what's about to happen. They know the rule is about to change and they're trying to hide, but it says they are not going to get away. All the ones that have ruled wickedly and manipulated multiple nations of people, they think they're going to get away. They think they're going to be able to hide. They're not. And they're hiding, it says, for fear of Yahuwah and for the glory of his majesty when he arises to shake terribly the earth. In that day man shall cast his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which they made, each one for himself to worship, to the moles and to the backs, to go into the clefts of the rocks and into the tops of the ragged rocks, for fear of Yahuwah. Like, that ain't mine. It's like they'll be trying to get rid of all of it, because they've known from the beginning, and they've kept under lock and key some of the books and the prophecies from the why do you think, do you think the Vatican just holds these books under lock and key for no reason? Like, they tell the world lies about stuff and our history book. Yahuwah, which a lot of people call God, and some people know who they're referring to when they're saying God, and they're not talking about Yahuwah, they're talking about Gadriel, which is one of the fallen angels, or i.e. Satan, or Ha-Satan, or whatever, Lucifer, or whatever you want to name him. When they say God, they clearly know who they serve and who they worship, and they're not talking about Yahuwah. That's why we make the clear, specific. We separate it. We had to train ourselves not to say God anymore. Some people are saying God because they're ignorant of his name and they don't know, but they are truly talking about Yahuwah. And there are some that use the term God who are not talking about Yahuwah, but they're worshipers of Satan or Ha-Satan. But you don't really know the difference. You just now is when you say God, most people think you're talking about Yahuwah, the God of the heavens and the earth. A lot of people are not, and they themselves know they're not, but they won't tell you that. But they just use a general term where everybody can be fooled. We're cutting the draws. We're drawing a line in the sand. We're not. We're going to stop there. You're going to clearly know who we're talking about when we speak. All right. Verse 21, I'll read again. To go into the clefts of the rocks and into the tops of the ragged rocks for fear of Yahuwah and for the glory of his majesty when he arises to shake terribly the earth. Cease ye from man whose breath is in his nostrils, for wherein is he to be accounted of. Chapter 3, last chapter for the day, y'all. For behold, Adonai, Yahuwah, save our oath. Save our oath. When they call him Yahuwah, save our oath, read it through. They don't want to play with him for real. He's the God of war, or the allure of war, Almighty Yahuwah. For behold, Adonai Sevaot takes away from Yerushalayim and from Yehuda the stay and the staff, the whole stay of bread, and the whole stay of water, the mighty man and the man of war, the judge and the prophet, and the prudent and the ancient, the captain of 50, and the honorable man, and the counselor, and the cunning artificer, and the eloquent orator. And I will give children to be their princes, and babes shall rule over them, and the people shall be oppressed, everyone by another, and everyone by his neighbor. And the child shall behave himself proudly against the ancient, and the base against the honorable. When a man shall take hold of his brother of the house of his father, saying, You have clothing, be you our ruler, and let his ruin be under your hand. In that day shall he swear, saying, I will not be a healer, for in my house is neither bread nor clothing. Make me not a ruler of the people. For Yerushalayim is ruined, and Yehuda is fallen, because their tongue and their doings are against all Yahuwah, to provoke the eyes of his glory. The show of their countenance witnesses against them, and they declare their sins as Sodom. They hide it not. Woe unto their soul, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. Say ye to the righteous that it shall be well with him, for he shall eat the fruit of their doings. Woe unto the wicked, it shall be ill with him, for the reward of his hand shall be given him. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead you cause you to err, and destroy the way of your paths. Yahuwah stands up to plead, and stands to judge the people. Yahuwah will enter into judgment with the ancients of his people, and the princes thereof. For ye have eaten up the vineyard, the spoil of the poor is in your houses. What mean ye that ye beat my people to pieces, and grind the faces of the poor, says Adonai Yahuwah, save our oath. Moreover, Yahuwah says, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet. Therefore Adonai will smite with the scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and Yahuwah will discover their secret parts. I want y'all to think about our people. Think about it, y'all. Black people are, well, let's not say black people. It's specifically talking about the daughters of Zion. Think about some of the black women that's always putting weave and stuff in their head. They losing their edges. This is what Yahuwah saying. He said, you're going to lose your edges and you're going to go bald before your time. You know, so I was like, well, shoot, Father, I was going a little, you know, it's a hereditary. I was like, let me start repenting from any unknown sin in my life, you know, and down in my generation because well, my dad, you know, some men received or whatever. But anyway, it's specifically talking, if you look at this, a lot of black women, you know, they walk around and not, you know what I'm saying, until they start getting their whole self together. All the stuff that Yahuwah is saying, we still see this today. They're being smitten with the scab on their head. They're losing their hair. They're going bald. They're losing their edges. People joking them, you know, it's all over social media. People snapping pictures of you when you walking in the store, you know, your wigs and stuff, trying to cover up all your baldness and your alopecia and all this stuff that's going on in your head. Why? All because of sin, for real, and the ignorance of you taking care of your body, for real. Like all this stuff, because we're not following his laws, statutes, and commands. You're going bald, losing your edges, all this stuff. But he clearly told us it's all been here. It's all been here. And if we would just repent and return to his ways, he would begin to heal the land. Heal the land of your body, heal the land of our people, you know. So let me just keep reading. I'm going to just read that over again, verse 16, because it's good all day long. But he talking about us, and we can look at it, and we can clearly see it today still happening. Moreover, Yahuwah says, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet. Therefore Adonai will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and Yahuwah will discover their secret parts. Secret parts meaning the private parts. You know, women, think about even the exposure of all the women, even in the music industry and the movies and stuff, and they making people think it's cool to show off your breasts and cleavage and your booty, and people tooting their booty in pictures and all this stuff. I'm like, what is wrong with y'all? Like all this stuff. People, he discovering their secret parts and they think it's cool. Like this is a curse. Like seriously, all this. The women, the daughters of Zion are supposed to be some of the most beautifulest women. They should have the highest standard on the face of the planet. Matter of fact, we are the ones that set the example for all the other nations. If you look at it, we still set the trend for all the nations because they follow what we do anyway, whether it be good or whether it be bad. And they prostituting Judah and Zion in the music industry and the entertainment industry and in the theater and stuff, and everybody copying what the black people do, and all the foolishness and stuff that's being perpetrated in rap videos, and men trying to be, you know, the boys, you know, doing all this, and they're just making fools of themselves. You know, if Israel wakes up, true Israel wakes up and realize that we literally set the trend for the entire world, we really do pay attention, people, then something would begin to click. Something will begin to click. But a lot of people, they might, if Yahuwah's not behind you, they might see an early death because they don't want people waking other people up. You know, because you literally, all those ones in positions of leadership can literally help turn the world to righteousness based on what they do and what they decide not to do. Okay. Verse 17, I read it again. For Adonai will smite with the scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and Yahuwah will discover their secret parts. In that day, Adonai will take away at the bravery of the tinkling ornaments about their feet, and their cauls, and their round turbans like the crescent moon, the chains and the bracelets, and the long veils, the bonnets, and the ornaments of the legs, and the headbands, and the tablets, and the earrings, the rings, the nose jewels, the changeable suits of apparel, and the cloaks, and the veils, and the bags, the glasses, and the fine linen, and the hoods, and the veils. And it shall come to pass that instead of a sweet smell, there shall be a stink, and instead of a belt, a rent, and instead of a well-set hair, baldness, and instead of a stomacher, a girding of sackcloth, and burning instead of beauty. Your men shall fall by the sword, and your mighty men in the war, and her gates shall lament and mourn, and she, being desolate, shall sit upon the ground. Think about it. But all that's coming to an end. So that is our reading for today, beautiful people. All right, that was Isaiah 1, 2, and 3. Must you rebel forever? Come on, y'all. Tell me we're not going to rebel forever. Let's return to Yahuwah and his law, statutes, and commands. Chapter 1 was a message for the rebellious Judah. Chapter 2 told us about the future reign of Yahuwah when he literally steps down from his throne down here to the earth. But before that happens, he's literally strategically and behind the scenes putting all those people in positions of leadership that he has chosen to rule and reign with him. And that's happening now right before our faces, people. It's happening right now. He's setting them up like we're preparing the house. We're preparing the place before the king arrives. We're telling you he's coming. He's coming. Like he is going to make him just like he was making himself visible all throughout the Old Testament, which we don't realize. Hey, we put three in the furnace, didn't we? I see 4 in there now. Now, the 4th one looks like the Son of Man. How did they know what the Son of Man looked like? Because he was constantly popping in on the people. They knew what he looked like. And he's coming again. He's going to come and he's going to rule. Heaven and earth is going to merge. And his kingdom is being set up now. All his people are being put in place for that. He's not coming to rule and things going to be out of order. But when he comes, all his people are going to be in place. All his are going to be set, most of them in place already. And the judgment shall sit and righteousness shall rule forever. All right, y'all. So today is Thursday, April 25th, 2019, day 113, and that is our reading for today. So let's go ahead and get out of here. So we got to get some things going, popping. Us already people at work, some people on their way to work, some people just getting off. I hope you get some rest. All right, so may Yahuwah bless us and keep us. May Yahuwah make his face to shine upon us and lift his countenance upon us and be gracious unto us and give us his shalom, his peace. And may we continue to walk in his law, statutes, and commands forever, that his blessing may be upon us and our households and our children for many generations to come. I love you all, and I'll see you in the morning. Peace.